Welcome back to the BJack 70 show. I'm your host, Brandon Jackson, and it's time for some night two of the 2026 NFL draft reactions. Not gonna go as long as I did last night. Pretty late. I'm pretty tired from staying up late last night. So I'm not gonna go over all of the picks. That would be crazy for me to do right now, but I'm just gonna go over the few things that I loved and the few things that I hated. But before we get into that, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you didn't see from last night, round one instant reactions are on the channel. Go check that out. And yeah, I'll be doing this right now, and I'll be doing it one more after day 3. And yeah, so appreciate you being here, appreciate you watching, and let's just get right into it. So things I loved about day 2 of the NFL draft: Andrew Berry and the Cleveland Browns organization, number one. The Browns came away with Denzel Boston, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, and Austin Barber. I'll start with Austin Barber because I don't know much about him, but he's an offensive tackle out of Florida, played left tackle in at Florida for the past, I think maybe about a year and a half, but previously played at right tackle, so he's has experience both sides of the offensive line. I don't really know too much about him. Apparently good a run blocker, but has some problems anchoring himself against power with pass protection. But is what it is. They, Browns, they traded up to go get Austin Barber. I'm given what we've seen from Andrew Berry, this draft and last year's draft, I'm going to trust him. I'm going to put my faith all the way into Andrew Berry. I'm good. I'm good with the pick. Create some offensive line depth, multiple positions. Maybe could go down inside to guard, but yeah, I'm okay with that one. That was a heat check for Andrew Berry. So we'll see how it works out, but I don't generally have any problem with that one. But the first 2 picks of the night, Denzel Boston, I'm extremely excited about. For everybody that was upset about KC Concepcion and his stature, his size, we got the big X outside wide receiver that you complained about. Denzel Boston, 6'4", big body receiver, contested catch receiver. Really, really good football player. Had some first round buzz. In all of my mock drafts, I didn't have him going first round. But if I was to do a second round of that mock, David Boston would have been going pretty early in the second. So to get him at 39 is not a surprise. I don't think he would have lasted very, very longer past that pick. Surprised that the 49ers took a receiver and didn't take him, but that is what it is. But I'm very excited about Denzel Boston becoming a Cleveland Brown. Todd Monken and his staff came in, assessed what the wide receiver room looked like, and they said, I'm gonna need some upgrades. I'm gonna need some remodeling. I'm gonna need to do a little spring cleaning in this wide receiver room. And so far, through 2 days of the draft, they've done that. And then on the other side, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. I had drafts of McNeil-Warren being taken at 19. And for him, one, to still be available at 58, but for the Browns and Andrew Berry, the whole second round, I'm sitting on this couch back here. My wife is sitting there with me. I'm saying Andrew Berry needs to move up to go get McNeil-Warren. Andrew Berry needs to move up to get him. I thought he was going to be the pick at 39. I thought they were going to be okay just taking Concepcion and taking McNeil Warren off the board at 39. The fact that he stayed available for so long, which led Andrew Berry to trade up to get him, is unbelievable. He was, if you look at it, a lot of people's big boards, he was number one, a first round talent on their boards. And to get him at the back of the second round is just absolutely incredible. Incredible value, incredible talent. I've loved what they've done so far. I've absolutely loved what Andrew Berry has done so far. I'm excited to see what happens day 3. To see what surprises we can get from the Browns on day 3. Consensus on Twitter, draft people, media analysts, football analysts, everybody has loved the Cleveland Browns draft so far. A lot of people loved it night 1 by itself. Add in this night 2, and they're absolutely crushing it. Even Matt Miller's dumbass even had to admit getting McNeil Warren where they got him was crazy. So if you can convince him that you're doing okay, I think you're doing pretty well. Yeah, I'm very happy. I'm very excited about the Browns. Andrew Berry, these last 2 drafts going absolutely crazy, trading back from number 2 overall last year, getting Mason Graham, getting Carson Schwarzenegger, getting Quinshon Judkins, just getting Harold Fannin, Dylan Sampson. We're not going to mention, the 2 quarterbacks. We don't need to talk about that right now, but getting all those guys in that draft last year already here: Casey Concepcion, Spencer Fano, McNeil Warren, Austin Barber, Denzel Boston. We are getting very good football players at pretty good values. Austin Barber, maybe not so much, but the first 4 very good values for where they were picked at. So thumbs up 100% all the way there. The next thing that I really loved about day 2, the Chiefs took my favorite edge off of the board, R. Mason Thomas out of Oklahoma. I thought he was in play at 29. He wasn't a consensus first rounder. I thought he has first round talent, purely rushing the passer. I understand why he wasn't a first round pick. Maybe a little bit undersized to be able to play 3 downs in the NFL, but this young gentleman can get after the quarterback, and that's what Kansas City needs. I love this pick by them. After the Peter Woods, after the Delane pick, I love them going after. They desperately needed an edge rusher, and they got the one that I really wanted them to have. So absolutely 100% love that pick by the Kansas City Chiefs. Last thing that I want to talk about that I loved, also hated because it was the Baltimore Ravens, but I love that the Baltimore Ravens went and got Jacoby Lane, wide receiver out of USC. I love Jacoby Lane as a wide receiver. Compared him to Chris Henry Sr., he's going to be a factor in that wide receiver room. Zay Flowers still there, Rashad Bateman's still there, and Jacoby Lane just getting added to it. He's going to be a factor in that room, especially after Isaiah Likely walking out the door. They're going to need all the big body targets that they can have in the red zone. I think this is definitely going to be a help for Lamar Jackson, and they get him in the 3rd round. This is about where I thought he would go. I never really considered about what team I thought he would go to, but as soon as I saw the trigger pulled on Jacoby Lane, I was happy because he's going to play with a great quarterback. I was upset that it is in the same division with a rival of my favorite team. So Little bittersweet, but love it for the player, love it for Jacoby Lane, love it for the Ravens. Shout out to them. And that's going to be the end of me complimenting Baltimore. Things I hated about day two, just a couple of things. Don't want to, go too far into the negative, but the Arizona Cardinals taking Carson Beck. I don't necessarily hate where they took Carson Beck. I said that wrong. I don't necessarily hate that they took Carson Beck. I hate where they took him. Maybe he would have gone if they didn't take him at the beginning of the third round. I think you could still have gotten a very good football player at the first pick of the third round, but they felt like they needed a quarterback. I saw a tweet that said Carson Beck could be a very good veteran influence for a room that has Jacoby Brissett and Gardner Minshew in it, which I thought was hilarious. But Carson Beck got the Cardinals draft strategy is a very interesting one. Jeremiah Love and Carson Beck coming out of the draft so far. They got Chase Besantis, guard from Texas A&M, which good because they needed offensive line help. Like that was good. But Carson Beck coming in there to compete maybe with Jacoby Brissett. Don't know if he's going to be on the roster since he decided he wanted to hold out for more money because he was ostensibly going to be the starter this upcoming season. But I mean, if you follow me, if you're familiar with my content, them cutting Kyler Murray to go take Carson Beck to potentially play in 2026 is disgusting to me. So I'm not a huge fan of that process. And then last but not least, the Pittsburgh Steelers keeping it in the AFC North. They took Jeremy Bernard, which was a good pick. I love Jeremy Bernard. Hate that he was a Steeler. Hate that they improved their wide receiver room. But I think they downgraded in the offensive line room, and I think they downgraded in the quarterback room. They took Jennings Dunker, the offensive tackle / guard from Iowa, and they took Drew Aller, quarterback from Penn State. I'll start with Dunker. Was not a fan. Wasn't a fan. Will not be a fan. Not a big fan of his game, of what it looked like on tape. Don't think he can play tackle. He's gonna have to try to play guard in the NFL, and we'll see if he can do that. But yeah, just not a huge fan. Drew Aller have not ever been a fan of Drew Aller. Ever since he took over as quarterback at Penn State, in the big moments, he's melted down. There's been bad decision after bad decision throwing the football. If you can look at the stats. There's, he puts up numbers. He goes crazy against the mid and bad teams of the Big Ten. But when he's playing Oregon, when he's playing in the playoffs, it's a different story. When he's going against Ohio State, it's a different story for Drew Aller when he's going up against the really, really talented teams in the Big Ten. He has the measurables. He has the size. He has the athleticism. He has the huge arm. Looks good throwing in combine settings. Looks good throwing with no shoulder pads and t-shirt and shorts on. But when you put those pads on, when you start calling plays, when you start calling real defense, it kind of falls apart. So I hate it for the Steelers. I'm glad it's them. I'm glad they decided to be the ones to pull the trigger because I don't think this is gonna help solve their quarterback issues in the future. I might have been a little bit more optimistic for them if they decided to take like Garrett Nussmeier. Even though I don't like Garrett Nussmeier a whole lot myself, but I think he would have been a better choice over Drew Aller. And even going back to the Cardinals, Carson Beck, I have problems with Carson Beck in the same kind of way as Drew Aller, but Carson Beck has shown that he can perform. But Drew Aller, I've just never seen it all the way through in one of these big games and his team coming out on top. And not necessarily that is the end all be all, like your team winning, but I'm just uncomfortable when I watch Drew Aller play football in these big moments. So not a fan there. But that's gonna be it for my night two reactions. Yeah, appreciate you guys watching. Go ahead, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe so you see all the content coming out of draft weekend. Gonna do this one more time after day 3 with more reactions. But yeah, thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.